What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Rider. Luckily we're facing just clouds today, Tuesday, July 21st, I think. But luckily no rain, so out riding today, taking care of some errands. That's pretty much done, so I'm gonna start heading back towards the home area. We're gonna take a long way around though. It's kind of it's not quite that hot. I mean, no sun's really out, and temperatures are pretty cool as far as riding is concerned. So like I said, go to take a long way around and make a video on the way. Alright, just leaving the Kanda area, heading into right here into Akihabara again, and then going to go through Ueno, Asakusa, in that kind of general direction, I think, today. But today's subject is going to be something it just kind of clicked in my mind when I saw this playlist. I was looking for a new playlist on Amazon, the music streaming service, and I saw this playlist called I Miss the 90s. And hey, that's a pretty good topic. So I've been on this earth since the 70s. You know, I lived through the 80s, and of course I'm still alive, obviously, so I've lived all the way through from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on. And at least in my mind, I feel like the 90s were probably the best decade, I think. You know, in my experience, you know, I mean, in the 70s I was just a little kid, and I guess most of the 80s I was for the most part, but the 90s is where, you know, I kind of had a life of my own and gained some freedom. And a lot happened during the 90s. I mean, it was a pretty peaceful time, and peaceful and prosperous, I guess. I mean, I don't remember many people being unhappy. I mean, there were still problems in the world, but it seemed like, or maybe it was just the fact that I was young, I don't know, but it just seemed like things were much easier back then. That's what it felt like. But we weren't nearly as connected as we are now. I got my first computer in the late 80s, and I got dial-up internet in the early to mid 90s, I guess, and that just kind of blew up after that, and we had text messaging on phones and stuff. But that's not the point. Just that period of time just seems like, it feels like it was probably, in my opinion, you know, for my life, it was the best. You know, by saying that I mean, obviously I was born in the 70s, so I'm kind of stating my age here. I'm not going to tell you exactly when in the 70s, but I'm old enough to remember part of it. But anyway, I finished most of my schooling in the 90s. I got my driver's license early 90s. You know, that's when kind of the freedom really took over, and to be able to go out and do what I wanted to do, and where I wanted to go, when I wanted to go. And I had a part-time job like every other kid at the time. So I had my own money. So it was a pretty good time. And I grew up in, you know, kind of a rural town, so it was like 30 minutes from any major city. And that didn't seem like I was kind of far away. Back when you're like, you know, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and that, you know, everything kind of felt far away. And, you know, at that time, if you'd asked me back then, yeah, I'd kind of want to get out of the farm town and, you know, get closer into the city where I could be closer to some friends and enjoy other things, except for what, you know, what we had around the local area, which wasn't much of anything. And you had to have a car or a truck or something to take you somewhere. Couldn't walk anywhere, no buses, bicycles were kind of useless. Although I remember riding my bicycle 4 or 5 miles to get to my closest friend's house, okay? So that's how far apart some stuff was. I mean, yeah, there were other houses closer, but my friend's house was about 4.5 miles from my place. And it was quite a trek on a bicycle on a 2-lane country road. And I remember when I got my driver's license, like the best activity we had was just driving around the country. You know, going to people's houses or just driving around. I remember there being a little snow cone shack, like this little tiny snow cone shack in the middle of a parking lot somewhere, that they were open during the summertime. That was kind of like the hangout. Then you had your local Italian pizza place. It was kind of like the hangout after school, and after events or whatnot. Yeah, it just felt simpler. I don't know. I mean, everybody has different experiences, but I enjoyed my life at that age. I do wish that I had lived closer to stuff, but now I kind of appreciate that, or I like to go back to that if I can. But right now I just need to be where the money is to make money so I can eventually retire happily, and probably move back to that kind of environment, hopefully. Why are so many people? Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, got a green light. Anyway, so I guess the point about missing the 90s, what I was trying to get to was the fact that it was just more simpler. And we started to get, I think I got my very first cell phone was mounted in my car. And I guess that was probably in 94, 95. I don't know, it was 95. I think it was 95 when I got my first cell phone. And that was, you know, something you installed in your car. And then a few years later, maybe 98, 99, I got my first like handheld, like pocket phone. And I don't think it had text messaging at that point. My next phone after that, I had 2 or 3, 4, let's see, 4 or 5. I had, until I got my first iPhone, I had 5 different like handheld phones, and 2 of them. And I also, when I came to Japan, I had one of those clamshell, typical Japanese phones from Sharp. But the phone before that, I had, I think that one was a Nextel phone actually. And then I had Sprint 2, and then I had what was called, what is Verizon now. It used to be GTE or something like that. Yeah, so I remember doing that. That was a big accomplishment, and that was back when you had like free weekends, right? So during the weekdays, you know, they would charge you per minute per call. They didn't have the included minutes back then, but they had the free weekends, so that was great. I remember having some pretty atrocious cell phone bills when I actually needed to use my phone. But the free weekends were nice. And then after that, they started including like 500 anytime minutes, whatever you could use during the weekday or whatever. They still had free weekends, but my how times have changed. But I remember paying, God, how much was I paying for that? It was like $70 a month. But I remember having bills like $150 in some cases when I really had to use it. I can't remember. I'm sure they had plans that had built-in minutes, but I was not exactly a rich person. Well, I wasn't poor, but I didn't have enough free money to throw around to have like massive phone bills. It didn't bring me back any productivity or any revenue. So I generally try, when I buy something or invest something, I try to find a way that it can generate revenue for me. Use it as a tool to make other money, or to do projects for people, or things like that. It just, you know, I try not to just buy frivolous things. YouTube is frivolous. Can't imagine how much money I spend on YouTube stuff, like stuff and everything. Well, anyway, we're not going to talk about that because that's just an embarrassment. And I miss the simplistic things, like simplistic electronics and vehicles. You know, mechanical vehicles didn't have a computer to control everything. I used to enjoy working on my truck. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't need to work on it that much, but when something broke or something needed to be replaced, then I could fix it. Same thing with my car. I had a truck at first, and then I had a little silver car that I used to go downtown with, to go to school with, for school and work. And that died on me. I mean, both these vehicles had, you know, hundreds of thousand miles on them combined. So eventually they're going to die. But the truck was great. Used that through high school. Then eventually got the little car, and then I bought my first new car after that. Just a little small 4-door car. I still didn't have a whole lot of money to throw around, so I had to keep things on the cheap. And then as life progressed, May started making more money, and they're second gear again. Then I started upgrading vehicles a little bit. But I still miss the simplicity of the older vehicles, because they were easy to work on and weren't so complicated like today's vehicles, where you need a code reader to figure out anything. God forbid your O2 sensor or something like that go bad and you gotta dig it out. Even this bike, like, it had an error code for the damn brake switch. I'm like, what's wrong with the brake switch? The brake switch works, and I guess it just got water in it or something. But it, you know, I got it cleaned out and reset the computer, and the code cleared itself. But yeah. But it kind of goes, you know, I like having some. I like having technology. It's convenient to use and fun to use too, but it's not always 100% positive all the time. People are out, well, not many, well, like, no tourists at all, hardly. Pretty much everybody I see is local. Now, I know Japan's having this go-to campaign fiasco where they, you know, wanted to, like, get people to travel more, but then all of a sudden, oh, no, it's not a good idea. A lot of the local governments say, hey, no, we don't want you to come here, especially Tokyo people. So in the news today, they talk about having to refund the Tokyo government, or somebody, I don't know if it's national or Tokyo, but anyway, a government is going to reimburse people's cancellation costs because all of a sudden they can't take advantage of the Go-To campaign. So that's been the drama for Japan in the last couple of days. Anyway, back to the 90s stuff. Yeah, I didn't, you know, back then, you know, if you'd asked me about Japan or any other country, I'm like, hell no, I'm gonna stay in America. You know, if you had told me in 1999 or 2000 I was gonna be in Japan by 2005 or 6, you know, I would tell you you're crazy. But here I am, and been here for, it's now 15 years worth, you know. Anyway, how times change, right? Let's see, what else did I want to say about the 90s? I don't know. A lot of good stuff was going on during that time. At least I felt like it was anyway. I know not everybody was doing great, but I didn't have a whole lot of money. Had a couple of friends, but made do, and life was pretty good. If I could go back and live in a time, I think I'd probably want to experience the 50s and 60s. I think that was one of the transitional times for America, especially after World War II ended. And there was a lot going on back then too with the American industrial period, where we were making things and being productive and inventing things. In the meantime, Japan was doing the same thing. Japan was rebuilding after the war, and they came up, you know, they have their only real natural resource is brain power. So they, you know, they invented a lot of stuff that we use today. But American had manufacturing, making cars and steel and, you know, all kinds of sorts of stuff. And now we don't have that as much, especially inside the American borders anymore, which is sad. But yeah, not much you can do about that. You know, there was a time period where they say buy American, but for a period there, you know, the American stuff was just crap. Didn't last very long. Stuff that was made, even you know, I remember clearly people telling, you know, going off about how to avoid buying from Japan. You know, there was this time where, you know, we started getting Japanese cars, Japanese electronics, but it was really good stuff, but people would still be like, hey, buy American, don't buy, you know, what they call Jap crap, or whatever the local term is wherever you're from, especially from America. But I don't know, I didn't hear that much. Even my family members from that generation who were actually in World War II, you know, even they were kind of like, yeah, Japan stuff's fine. But they were in, you know, when they were in the war, they were mostly in Europe anyway, so they weren't on the Asian front. So anyway, I'd like to see more stuff in America, but it is what it is for the time being anyway. And here I am rambling again. I'm trying to keep myself on topic with the 90s. But you know, I didn't really think about the exact points that I wanted to make, but I just thought the 90s were a great period. Music was great, people were great. Had our issues, but it felt like everybody got along anyway. Not like what you see these days. Now, dude, I will say one thing. I'd love to have been at least come to visit Japan during the late 80s and 90s during the bubble period. That would have been, I think that would be pretty exciting, personally. That would definitely be something different compared to America. I've watched some of the TV shows and some of the videos from that time period in Japan, and I think that was fascinating. Anyway, I guess I'll go ahead and wrap this up and enjoy my little cruise onwards to the home front. Home front. What the hell am I talking about? Anyway, just felt a drop of rain to hit my nose, so I hope that's not a. I hope that's just a fluke. But yeah. Oh, by the way, my last video I just uploaded, the one for the July update. A couple comments came in about avoiding America. I'm with you. I'm not planning on going back. I'm just lamenting the fact that I can't go, because I'm used to doing that trip for every summer and Christmas, and you know, mentally I'm used to it and expecting it, and I'm just kind of freaking out about it, because I'm not freaking out about it, just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just what I expect to do, and you know, kind of like my mind is ready for it. And I mean, I'm okay living in Japan, but I still like to go home and visit, and I do care about my family, and I do care about things that I have there and people I want to see and meet. And you got to think about it too. You know, some of us have older family members that, you know, they may not be close to dying, but what if something happens to them if you hadn't seen them in a year? That's kind of like, so for some people it's like the last time you're going to meet them. I don't mean to be so dark about it, but that's kind of the reality for some people, especially people even older than me, that have aging parents that are maybe already sick, or you know, at really advanced old age. So yeah. That's my point. I'm not trying to be materialistic about going shopping, eating food. I'm just more thinking about the experiences of going back and seeing families, cousins. I've had 2 cousins die on me. You know, two cousins younger than me have died on me while I've been in Japan, and one of them happened during the COVID-19 thing. You know, I'm like, and I know I hadn't seen him in a long time, because he wasn't even living in the home area where my main family's from. But like, I feel terrible because I didn't get to see him at all before that. And I had another cousin about 2 years ago. He got, I mean, that was a freak thing. I mean, he had an allergic reaction or something and died from it. But again, I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. So word to my cousins, none of you rest of you guys don't die, please. I don't have a infinite number of cousins out there, okay? So anyway, luckily that's all I've had to endure so far in the length I've been in Japan. At least, no, I take that back. There was a third person that died. Damn. Yeah, I'm starting feeling guilty now. Yeah, there was a third one. Damn it. That's right. Oh well, I'm gonna end this video because I don't want to think about it anymore. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. Noob subscribers, thank you very much, appreciate it. We're up to like 431 as of this morning, I believe, when I left the house, when I quickly checked the comments from the last video. So thank you. But hope to see you back on the next one. I'm still working on the older content, hopefully get that up soon. And I'm going to ride when I can. As you can see, it's pretty cloudy, but no rain. It's supposed to be like this all week, so maybe get another ride in here and there. And Thursday and Friday are holidays, so that might enable me to do a little more riding, but we'll see. So take care guys, see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Break down crazy.